what do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living?
Yeah.
Avoid everything I'm supposed to do for a living as much as possible. Well, I would like to do more of what I'm supposed to do. I'd like to be more of a provocateur. But I find whenever I Twitter and I start saying things that are incendiary and revolutionary and anger-laced, all the crazies come out, the people that are supposed to be gone by tomorrow night. And they torture you and they threaten you. And I said, the hell with it. I'm just going to keep it real light and breezy. All right here.
Because that's what people expect from you, light and breezy.
No, they don't. But my friends, my Carole King version of Friends. When you call out my name. I was 15, and I said, Mom, I want the Carole King album.
Is that on Tapestry?
I am Tapestry.
Yeah.
Where she sat in the dusty glow of light with a cat.
There was gingham involved.
And I came home to my bedroom, my astrologically themed bedroom in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I put it on my stereo, and I sat there and thought, someday I'm going to get the hell out of this stinking town.
What town was that?
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
So
I knew, I was very prescient. I knew back then we were headed for nothing but trouble in that state. I was coerced. I was forced to move to Arizona from Flint, Michigan by my father, who ran from some sort of scandal.
All the way to Arizona.
That was only hinted at many years later. Sick bastard.
So then, you mentioned provocateur as the thing that you would ideally do. Is that what you list on an IRS form? Professional provocateur?
Occasionally.
Okay.
I've yet to be audited. Inshallah. Enchilada?
I want to travel back through the career a little bit. There are some people that whose name
I've been bandied about.
You've been bandied about, and
associated with.
And I'd like to know what you took from your relationship with them. And the first one is Richard Pryor, who hired you as a writer.
Well, actually, Richard Pryor himself did not hire me. My friend Paul Mooney.
Okay.
For those of you who are super hip, who discovered me the first night I ever got up to perform and said, Bernhard, you're a cigarette come to life. Paul Mooney, who was one of Pryor's major writers and producers, put that all together. He brought everybody who was on that show together from all the comedy venues.
Who was on that show?
Well, Robin Williams was on it. Marsha Warfield, thank you. Marsha Warfield, who was so mean to me. A fellow black sister who was so vicious. A cadre of very talented people. Mooney arranged that. But Richard Pryor was one of the sweetest people in the world. He was very, very shy, very quiet. He was an observer, a keen observer, and was able to parlay that into a brilliant career, Tragic figure,
yeah,
as one has noticed.
Is that, what did you take from that experience then? If that's you as you're first getting started in comedy, how did that form you?
Well, he did this TV show. It was an aborted, may I say aborted without getting, some sort of, rally outside from the people of Wichita or something.
Well, now you will. You wouldn't have before, and then you had...
I didn't say anything specific. They're not listening to this.
The show didn't last long.
The show didn't last long, and I think that he just didn't like it. He didn't like the confines of television. So, I guess I've felt the same way over the years, Like when I've been, pinned up against the wall of a TV studio, I've railed.
Yeah. Robert Deniro in The King of Comedy.
Another very cold person in my life.
Yeah?
Extremely cold, rude.
How so?
Self-centered.
Go on.
No, he's just
Let's go get him right now, everybody.
He's a complex cookie. He's a very layered person. You know, he doesn't, I had one lunch with him. I wanted to get to know him. And he kept looking at his watch and looking around. And he's very distracted. I think he had a little touch of ADD.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's like a man's man. You know, all those guys are like, you know, Deniro, Scorsese. Scorsese's more of a, you know, he's more feminine. He's softer.
But in that movie, you know, it seemed you were so at ease with De Niro. I mean, you were so at ease in those scenes.
Well, yeah, because the character and everything just worked, you know? That's the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And kind of whatever was going on off screen worked on screen. No, he was lovely. We had a wonderful time. He's very generous. I was just sort of BSing, as I've been known to do.
Wait, which is it?
It's both.
Okay.
Isn't everything both?
Everything is
Just
both.
people never want to be honest about it. It's the duality of life that nobody wants to confront head on. It's not gray, it's black and white.
Wait. Should it be gray or should it be black and white?
I don't know what.
Maybe a checker
I don't
pattern.
know what the hell it should be. I'm just telling you what it is.
I don't
And
understand.
it sucks.
All right. Well,
Table for one.
leaving so soon? All right, Madonna.
Do 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 do. I made it through the wilderness. Somehow I made it through. Oh 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 oh. Do 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 until I got you.
Is this metaphorical about your relationship with Madonna?
We had the best time. You know, it was pre-social networking. You know, we went out. She came to see my one-woman show in New York, Without You, I'm Nothing. You know, and I'd known her before. We had met up at Warren Beatty's house when she first started dating Sean Penn. I actually had a date with Sean Penn first. And we went to see a movie, and I thought he was cute, but you know me. And so then he brought her up, and she was wearing like a long skirt and glasses, like a schmott in her hair, and she kind of gave me the fish eye, super cold. Then I ran into them at a party in Beverly Hills, and Sean said, "Hey, look, it's Sandra Bernhard." She went, come on, Sean, we're late for the party. And then all of a sudden, like, things were heating up for me, you know what I mean? I was like the hip du jour moment of 1988. So on Easter, she showed up at one of my previews of my show at the Orpheum in New York City, and she came backstage. She said, "Hey, you want to go out tonight? A bunch of people are going out." And she gave me her number.
She didn't have the British accent at the time.
No,
Okay.
no. Oh, no, honey. It was pure, like, Michigan via New York, you
Right.
know? Bay City, right in the thumb. And so anyway, I didn't end up going out that night. And I pulled one of my Gemini trips. I said, why didn't I go? Because you didn't want to go. Because you know she's a bitch, but you want to have fun, and you want to hang out with her, but you don't want to go. So I ended up calling her a few days later. She said, "Why didn't you show up? Everybody was waiting to meet you." So then we started hanging out.
Well,
And we had a ball. We had so much fun. It was like two crazy, you know, chicks on the streets of New York, you know, wearing matching cutoff shorts and cowboy shoes and T-shirts. Then I took her on the Letterman show. I made that bitch's career. I made it happen for her.
I remember watching the two of you on the Letterman show,
Yeah.
and you know, I was younger, and I thought, what is happening?
So was I.
This is so different from everything else I have ever seen on television. What's going on right now?
I think David felt the same way. He was in a state of shock, which went on, I mean, really, till now. I mean,
I mean, were those? I mean, and those appearances became very famous. How calculated were those, or were those just two gals running onto the stage?
Well, there was only one. We only went on one time.
You only went down one time?
It felt like 10
Why
times.
is it burned in so deeply?
Because
then?
it was revolutionary. You know, I was crazy. I was like a live wire. She'd never done anything like that. She's not, you know, particularly known to be funny, but I brought out the funny in her. You know, we had, like, I made her comfortable in her own shoes. I mean, when you really, like, if you isolate it and focus on her, she is not funny. I'm funny. I'm crazy. Look at me. 20-odd years later, and I'm still wound up. Look at me, the energy of a puppy.
Well, then where was the falling out?
The falling out came a few years later. It was just, you know what? You have a very short shelf life with Madonna. When she's done with you, she's done with you. And she moves on to the next victim. She, you know, like a
Radio audiences, a vampire was just simulated.
It was tacky and weird. I can tell you one thing she said, I can do whatever we want. No, I can do whatever I want. We're not in high school. I went, we're not? Apparently we are.